Okay, so there's a company in the United States, Washington State specifically, that's actually claiming that their tourism is up 30% year over year. And at first, I was actually a little bit suspicious. I mean, especially with everything going on right now, I don't expect anything in the US to be up. But after I found out who their tourists actually are, it actually made me happy and proud at the same time. But I think this US tourism business is a one off, because the ones that are in this Travel Weekly report, they're still experiencing major declines. And in this article, this tourism official actually says it's difficult to imagine that these numbers will erode further. Well, you know what I say to that? Hold my beer. Because I'm going to explain why it hasn't plateaued or bottomed out. It should be bottom out. I mean, we're talking about decrease. So we're going to talk about these two topics in this video. And also for the Canadians watching right now, I have another petition that I want to feature on my channel. This one's numbered E-7340. This one talks about the Alberta Prosperity Project, as well as the interference from the US administration. So I'll talk about this at the end of the video. Also, later today or later this morning, I'm going to have a live stream with our good friend Wayne Smith from the Toronto Metropolitan University. And we're going to be talking about everything tourism, as well as boycotts, and the effects of the Middle East when it comes to travel. So this live stream is going to start at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 hour before I had my live stream yesterday with Josh. I had to make it 1 hour earlier because I'm going to have a busy day tomorrow at work. So hopefully we can still get a lot of people into the live stream. All right, let's get started with the first report from Vancouver Island.
It's an issue that's only strengthening. Canadians are continuing to boycott traveling to the United States. While more than 2 million Canadians still traveled to the U.S. in March of this year, there is still a 7.6% drop compared to last year and a 32% drop from 2024.
Now, I know I keep showing these numbers, but I'm actually proud of them. I mean, if you look at March 2024, it's 2.9 million. March 2026 is 2 million. They almost lost a million tourists since okay, I can't call him Orange Guy anymore. Someone in my live stream yesterday, I can't remember who it was. But they did mention that me saying the Orange Guy is a bit disrespectful in the Netherlands. So I'm going to change it to something else. Someone else said Diaper Donnie, so I'm going to call him Diaper Donnie from now on. But ever since Diaper Donnie got into the office, that 32.3% that you're seeing there, it is causing major damage. Now, I actually thought 2026 would bottom out, and that we would actually start to see a bit of increase. But Canadians proved me wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong on this one. But can we get this 32.3% to up to maybe 40% by the end of the year? I do have a bit of hope, because my home province of British Columbia, in March, we breached the 50% mark when it came to land crossings. If one province can do it, I don't see why the rest can't.
According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, the decline in Canadian travelers helped drive an $8.5 billion US or 4.6% drop in international tourism spending in the United States last year. But despite that,
we're seeing improvement. We saw improvement last year and then again this year.
Just over the border in Washington, companies like Kenmore Air say business is actually improving.
Our numbers are actually quite a bit up from over last year. In fact, about close to 30% year over year.
So yeah, this is the part I was talking about. When I first heard this, I was kind of like, what the hell? How can your business be up? I was about to go OCD on this guy and just start researching to see if he's actually telling the truth or not. But if you hear who his clientele is, it actually makes sense.
From last year.
It's not Canadians driving the growth, more Americans are coming to Canada, something that Kenmore Air's CEO attributes to Destination Greater Victoria's targeted effort to regenerate that market.
Victoria particularly has done such an amazing job presenting itself as a welcoming community.
So there you have it. His business might be up, his profits might be up, but the clientele is not Canadians. It's US citizens going from somewhere in Washington, I don't know where they'd fly out of, up to Canada. And to be honest, I'm fine with that. If US citizens want to come to Canada and spend their tourist money, I will welcome it. But Victoria and Canada overall is a welcoming country. I mean, we're not going to stop you at the border for like having social media posts, or for the color of your skin, or if you have this photo on your phone.
More impacted by the boycott are the Coho and the Clipper.
We had decided to reduce our schedule.
Last spring, both ferries cut sailings as Canadian ridership suddenly plummeted. This year, the reduced sailings persist. But just over the border in Port Angeles,
we've actually been really busy here.
It's been a busy spring. Replacing Canadians are more Americans traveling domestically for staycations. But due to the Iran war, that's expected to stop.
Now the gas prices are going up dramatically in the United States. We suspect that some of that tourism that we've seen, the domestic tourism, is going to tail off a little bit.
Aw, that's too bad. Anyways, I thought US tourism was majorly based on domestic tourism.
Also, of course, like we could survive without a ton of international tourism. I think the tourism industry in America, and I don't know this as a fact, but I think our tourism industry is more based on domestic tourism. Like
It is for sure.
The scary thing is that there's actually people that believe these guys.
In the short term, the hope is that FIFA might fill the gap, that the World Cup might drive leisure travel for our neighbors down south into the summer. Long term is political resolution.
Look, you know what's an irritant? 50% tariff on steel, 50% tariff on aluminum. Those are violations of our trade deal.
To call off the Canadian travel boycott that's now in its 15th month.
So I don't see anything changing anytime soon. In fact, I'm actually pushing for that 40% overall. We still have a lot of time this year, and that's plenty of time for Diaper Don to actually do something stupid again. The more crap that comes out of his mouth, the more it just pisses the entire world off. Now, some US tourism officials and businesses are hoping that the bleeding has stopped. And this next article from the Travel Weekly, which is based out of New Jersey, and while they accept that things are probably not going to change anytime soon, they believe that things have bottomed out. And like I said earlier, hold my beer, because I'm going to prove that they're wrong. I could use one of these right now. I actually do miss the local Vancouver beer. Now, as always, I'm going to read it out for everybody, because I know some people are cooking or in the shower. Yes, someone has said they were in the shower while watching my videos. But also for those who are visually impaired. I didn't actually realize I had that many viewers that were visually impaired, but I am happy to help out. And it also gives me practice on my reading. You might not know this, but I actually hate reading out loud. I read way faster with my eyes than I speak, so I'm trying to fix that problem. So I'm happy to help out and get practice at the same time. Alright, let's get started. Roughly a year ago, President Diaper Don rhetoric about making Canada the 51st state and a trade dispute sent Canadian travel to the US into a sharp decline, and there's still little signs of a turnaround. With no near-term recovery in sight, the industry is coming to terms with the possibility that winning back Canadians may take far longer than expected. Well, I'm glad to hear this. At least they're realizing now that some of their tactics like marketing and campaign and promos are not going to get us back. Canadian visitations to the US topped 20 million in 2024, generating 20 billion in spending, according to the US Travel Association. By the end of 2025, that figure had dropped roughly 16 million visitors, a decline of more than 20%. Although early 2026 data offers little cause for optimism, Tyler Gosnell, Managing Director of International Inbound Travel for US Travel, said there are signs that worse may be over. Oh, Tyler, what kind of reality do you live in? I'll comment after this next paragraph. He says, given the steep declines that we've seen, we're hopeful that we're plateauing. He said, it's difficult to imagine these numbers will erode further. Alright, Tyler, what evidence do you have that it's going to be plateauing? Because these numbers right here are showing that the trend is not changing. Hell, even I was wrong for like 2026. And I'm even gunning for 40% by the end of the year. So I don't know why you feel that it's difficult to imagine that it's not going to erode even further. There has to be significant change for this trend to stop. And when I say significant, your president has to be gone, all the tariffs gone. But the major problem that's going to linger is that 77 million US citizens are still going to continue this 51st state rhetoric. So I don't think your tourism industry is ever going to get back to the numbers they had before. So let me know in the comments if you agree with me. And if you do agree with me and you're not subscribed to my channel, and you want to tell the US tourism industry to go to hell, hit that subscribe button below so you're notified of my future videos. Alright, back to the article. Among the industry's most pressing concerns, he said, is the longer this decline persists, the more permanent it may become. Canadians who once made annual US pilgrimages might build new traditions elsewhere. Yeah, Tyler, that's already started. Especially with our Canadian snowbirds, who spent the most money in your country. 5 to 10 years of going to the same place turns into a new family tradition, says Gosnell. Instead of going to Florida, they're going to the French Riviera. Instead of going to New York, they're going to London. They'll go to the Caribbean, Mexico, or Costa Rica. Airlines have already adjusted their networks accordingly. WestJet and Air Canada have both cut US routes and redirected their capacity to other markets, with Gosnell worrying that the reversing course on that will take time. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit. The challenges extend across other segments. Canadian travelers' demand for US short-term rentals plunged roughly 23% in April 2025 and about 50% by midsummer, according to an analytics firm AirDNA. Demand was down approximately 25% in March 2026. Now is that 25% compared to 2025 or 2024? I don't know. I hope it's comparing 2025. It looks like things are kind of holding pretty close to what we saw last year after April, said Bram Gallagher, Director of Economics and Forecasting at AirDNA. Now, one thing I'm not sure he's factoring in when it comes to their numbers is that last year's numbers were a little bit bloated. And I say bloated because there were a lot of Canadian travelers that booked their flights and trips in 2024 before Diaper Don was in the office. I personally have friends that went last year to the United States because they pre-booked their trips in 2024. And unfortunately, there was no way for them to get refunds. So they went. And the fact that they went counts as a cross-border travel number. Did they want to go? No. But they were too invested in it to not go. So I'm sure there's thousands of other Canadians that did that last year, and probably millions globally. So just in my opinion, I think they're in for a bit of surprise if they're going to continue comparing 2025 numbers. Moving on, the article talks about US mountain resorts. US mountain resorts are seeing a similar trend play out. It's not getting worse and it's not really getting any better, said Tom Foley, Director of Business Intelligence at Intopia, a mountain destination booking and data firm. According to Intopia, bookings from Canadian travelers to mountain properties were down around 40% in 2025 versus 2024, with that gap remaining essentially unchanged at the start of this year. We've been very vocal that we believe this is not short-lived, added Foley. We expect some resolution over time, depending on the election cycle and of course trade policy. Yeah, you're missing a lot of other stuff too. 51st state rhetoric, border issues, ICE issues, people issues. I could go on, but I'm not. But people who haven't really been listening to our messaging may be surprised how resolute the Canadian market is in this. Yep, we don't forget, and we can hold a grudge for a very, very long time. That resoluteness is something that Mackenzie McMillan, managing partner and luxury travel designer with Vancouver-based The Travel Group, has witnessed firsthand. Leisure demand to the US remains deeply suppressed, he said. With corporate travel ticking up slightly, safety concerns have added another layer. When Canadians see stories about non-citizens being detained, that raises questions, said McMillan. At this point, with the safety factor included, I just don't see this change happening anytime soon, until we see noticeable change in policy and behavior towards travelers. So I have a question for anybody watching this right now, and you don't have to be in Canada, you could be anywhere in the world. What is your reason, the main reason that you're not going to the United States? For me, it's the 51st state rhetoric, then the safety, and then the disrespect from the citizens. The order might be different for some people, but I'm pretty sure the ones that I just listed out are top 3 for a lot of people. So let me know in the comments below what your top 3 are. And the last screenshot, because I'm running out of time. The right marketing tone. Fuck the marketing. Against that backdrop, marketing effectively to Canadians has proven challenging. Gosnell said that what's working for some destinations and suppliers is messaging that directly acknowledges Canadians' concerns. It's not a business as usual environment, he said. Those who are able to break through share a message that is authentic, meeting Canadians where they are, recognizing that many of them, this was personal, a long-term friendship that they felt attacked. Vermont has taken their approach to heart, anchoring its Canadian outreach around a 100% Love for Canada tagline. We're in this for the long haul, said Heather Pelham, Commissioner of Vermont's Department of Tourism and Marketing, adding that the messaging is intended to reinforce how we respect them, even if they're not planning on traveling right now. Now, I want to ask the Canadians watching this right now, what do you think of that tagline, 100% Love for Canada? For me, it's kind of cringe to be honest. And I totally get that Vermont is trying something outside of the box. But unfortunately, their efforts right now seem a little bit hollow to me. Because in the grand scheme of things, they are part of the United States. There's 49 other states in their country. And for me, there's no way to separate Vermont from Texas or even Florida. And even though Vermont did vote 63.8% for Harris, there's still 32.3% that voted for Diaper Dawn. And do the 32.3% of the Republican voters in Vermont, do they love Canada? Probably not. And the last thing, does Vermont control the border? No, not at all. So for this Canadian whose cat apparently just decided that they want to be heard, do I take Vermont's marketing campaign differently? Honestly, not really. Now the last screenshot I want to show. Canadians coming to the US is an important part of the American experience, said Gosnell. American experience, like what does that even mean? I think I should translate it. Canadians coming to the US is an important part of the American economy. Like seriously, just say it what it is. Whether it's a small town seeing restaurant closures or a big city like New York, feeling the pain of fewer Canadians coming, that's real, and we want to do everything we can to change that. Well, unfortunately, you gotta fix your house before any visitors are gonna come back. Because the current administration turned your house into a meth lab. With chaos and security dogs running all over your yard, no visitor is gonna want to come visit your house until all of this is sorted out. So unfortunately, fix your house first before you start inviting people over again. Now the last part of this video I want to talk about is another petition that was sent to me, and quite a few of you have sent it over, and this one's numbered E-7340. Now I know these petitions only apply to Canada, but I have seen a lot of people globally saying in the comments that even though they cannot sign, they 100% support it. So I do want to thank the international community for supporting the petitions even though they don't apply to you. Now let me read out the details of this petition. Petition to the House of Commons in Parliament is assembled, whereas the Alberta Prosperity Project, driving the current independent petitions, has held 3 documented meetings with the senior Diaper Guys administration, officials, and solicited $500 billion US credit facility to fund a potential independent Alberta. The Diaper Guys administration documented patterns of resource coercion in Venezuela, Greenland, and Panama is now credibly directed at Alberta, which holds the world's third largest oil reserves. Co-founder Dennis Modry, participant in the Washington meetings, was found by BC Supreme Court judge to have misappropriated $1.3 million from elderly relatives. Canada's Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner has confirmed foreign interference in Canadian political process is already occurring and that the Washington meetings may fall under his mandate, and the Alberta government legislation around the court ruling declaring the original petition unconstitutional conduct the presiding judge described as disrespectful to the administration of justice. We, the undersigned, people of Canada, call upon the House of Commons and Parliaments assembled to invoke its authority under Section 53 of the Supreme Court Act to refer the constitutionality of Alberta's Justice Statutes Amendment Act 2025 to the Supreme Court of Canada and to direct the Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner to immediately investigate these meetings between Alberta Prosperity Project and the Diaper Guys administration. I don't know why, but that was a tough one to read. But regardless of my failed reading, I think this one is important for everybody to at least review it, because we know there's interference coming from the South. And we also know there's like social media campaigns trying to spread the separation nonsense, and these guys aren't even from Canada. So I urge the GTL community to take a look at this new petition that I'll be featuring. This petition has been out since April 21st, and it already has over 17,000 signatures. With that many signatures in less than 2 weeks, that tells me Canadians are pretty pissed off about this. So let's see if we can help Don Davies get the signature total over 20,000. It doesn't close until June 20th, so we do have lots of time. But who knows, maybe we can help get it over 30,000. So I encourage all Canadians to check it out. The link will be in the description as well as the pinned comments. And just an update on the petition 7319 in regards to ICE and Homeland Security on Canadian soil. I have spoken to Dave Hamlin-Schellenberg, who initiated the petition. He will be coming onto my channel to discuss this. We just haven't set a date yet, and there's a few things that need to be sorted out first. But I'll give the GTL community a few days heads up. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a live stream or if it's just going to be a pre-recorded video, but I'll let everybody know. To close off this video, I would like to thank Max for sending me this photo of Parc Régional des Chutes Monte-Epin. I'm sure I butchered that one, and I apologize to all my Quebec viewers. I think this has been the toughest one so far. But I really do thank you, Max, for sending this over. It's a beautiful photo. Alright, that's all I got for this video. And don't forget about the live stream with Wayne Smith that'll be starting shortly. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international perspective, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.